rise and shine. We've got mountains to climb. Today we're going to uncover Jurassic Park. No disturbing the peace, Matt and I.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not happy.
He's not happy. He sounds hungry.
That's right. In this episode of Up on Screen, Jay and I are tackling Steven Spielberg's epic dinosaur adventure hit, Jurassic Park, released in 1993 by Universal Pictures. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, kids. Stay tuned.
Strap in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, this week. We are talking in this episode about Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park, released in 1993. And Jurassic Park was a huge hit. Obviously, it's based on the Michael Crichton novel of the same name.
Massive.
And we know Michael Crichton has released a number of books and stories around Jurassic Park and other stories around the dinosaur franchise over the years, which obviously they've made into screenplays and further films up until recently, and obviously another one in the works now.
Yeah,
which is great.
Allegedly.
Well, yes, apparently.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely made Universal Pictures a lot of money over the decades.
Probably its biggest, I reckon.
One of the biggest, their biggest franchises, definitely. And this film is certainly no exception. So yeah, Jay and I are going to do a deep dive into this film and just talk about everything we usually talk about. But let's start off with the synopsis of the film, shall we? Oh. Don't know what sort of dinosaur that was. But let's start with the IMDb synopsis. So it says, an industrialist invites some experts to visit his theme park of cloned dinosaurs. After a power failure, the creatures run loose, putting everyone's lives, including his own grandchildren's, in danger. So there you go. That's the synopsis of the film. Not very good by, John Hammond putting his, we'll get into that later, these grandkiddies in danger. But let's get into who made the film and how the film came about. So the film is produced by Kathleen Kennedy. For those of you who know who Kathleen Kennedy is, she's a big powerhouse producer in Hollywood. Worked many times over the decades with both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and a number of others, but mainly those two in their sort of universes of their films that they've put together over the decades. She's certainly responsible for all the modern day, a lot of Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, The Mandalorian.
So she's active today.
Oh yeah, she's still kicking. She's still going. She started at a quite young age, so she's still around. Just one of those producers that's just been around for ages and still going. And I think she just loves the work. I'm sure she could retire, but And the other producer is Gerald R. Molan, and I guess, of the two, Kathleen is really the kind of standout powerhouse producer on this film. It's based on the book or the novels by Michael Crichton, as I said earlier. Screenplay adapted also by Michael Crichton, of course, and another screenwriter called David Coep. I hope I pronounced that properly. Directed by legend, of course, Steven Spielberg, probably one of our film gods. I'm sure, and a lot of people's around the world, and we obviously know him from many films over many years since the 1970s right through till present day. Director of photography is a guy called Dean Cundey. That's Cundey. I hope I pronounced that.
Dean Cundey.
Cundey. I think I pronounced that right.
I hope so.
So he's another legend cinematographer in Hollywood. Certainly has worked with Steven Spielberg a number of times over the years. Some notable films from Dean: Halloween, the original 1978 film.
Nice.
I think they had Jamie Lee Curtis in it when she was younger.
Absolutely.
The original Scream Queen.
Yeah.
Escape from New York, which has got Kurt Russell in it. It's a 1980s film where it's like a dystopian future of New York City. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a really great film.
Right.
Where he plays a character called Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell. It's a great film.
I think I've seen it.
Maybe, you probably might have.
Yeah.
Mr. Kunde also did the Back to the Future films.
Oh, wow.
All of them.
That's a big deal.
Yep. And Death Becomes Her with Meryl Streep.
Oh, my God.
One of Jay's favourites.
Stop it.
Apollo 13, which is obviously critically acclaimed. Well, I mean, some of his other films were critically acclaimed, and many, many more. These are just a handful of ones, the notable ones to pick out. Production design on Jurassic Park, done by pretty much cream of the crop production designer Rick Carter, multi-award nominated and winning production designer. Sort of in the apex realm, you know, up there with the Dante Ferrettis and the Norman Reynolds and Ken Adams of the world.
Matt's hero.
Yes, a number of them. But certainly Rick Carter has won 2 Oscars, nominated for many more, but won in 2010 for James Cameron's Avatar.
Nice.
Which is
That's
very
a
good.
beautiful movie. I love
Really
that
great.
movie.
Great
Yeah.
production design.
Yeah.
And 2013's Lincoln with Steven Spielberg. So obviously about Abraham Lincoln there, that story. So a handful of Rick Carter's production design films, Back to the Future 2 and 3,
Love.
Forrest Gump,
Love.
War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise,
Love.
Munich, which has our very own Australian Eric Bana in it.
I haven't seen that one.
And I think it was directed by Spielberg too. And Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Great film. Pew, 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 pew. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker too. Yes. Yeah. And yeah. And many, many more for Rick Carter. Obviously, he's one of the most successful production designers ever to come out of Hollywood. So love his work. Music composed by the absolute legend, John Williams, who anyone that's either been under a rock will know that he's he's been responsible for some of the greatest bits of music on film of all time.
An icon.
Absolute icon. Multi Oscar award and every other award you can think of.
And what's he responsible for, Matt?
So some standouts from John Williams over the years, all the Star Wars, pretty much all.
Can I give you a hint of one?
Mm-hmm.
Bum bum, bum bum, bum 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 bum.
We're gonna need a bigger boat, folks. That's Jaws, yes.
Yeah.
John Williams certainly did Jaws. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and a lot of the other Indiana Jones franchise films.
Harry Potter.
I'm not sure if he's done Harry Potter, but he's certainly done Superman. He's done, as I said, all the Star Wars, Jurassic Park. He has done a lot of films over the years, and not just film. John Williams has composed in other media formats as well, but certainly I think film scoring is his first love. But yeah, great legend of a human being as well. So the film was obviously studio and distributed by Universal Pictures, as we know, this franchise. The film stars a pretty great main cast and very strong supporting cast of characters. So starring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Richard Attenborough, which is the brother of David Attenborough, obviously.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum. I think everyone loves Jeff Goldblum. And a young Samuel L. Jackson, one of his first kind of early film roles.
Yeah.
I won't say it's his first, but it's his early film roles.
Don't worry, he still plays a badass.
Yeah, he's still great. And we'll talk more about him in a little bit. So a summary of the film, Jay, and overview of what the film is actually about in more detail. So Jurassic Park is the first installment of the Jurassic Park franchise, and the first film in the original Jurassic Park trilogy, and is based on Michael Crichton's 1990 novel of the same name. The film is set on the fictional island of Isla Nublar, or
Isla Nublar.
Again, my pronunciation, excuse that. It's off the Central America's Pacific coast, near Costa Rica, about 100 miles, it says in the film.
So this is an actual island?
Island off the coast of Costa Rica.
Oh.
Well, it's, again, so in the world of the film.
Yeah.
Or the novel, I should say, because it's based on Michael Crichton's books. Where a wealthy businessman, John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough, and a team of genetic scientists have created a wildlife park of de-extinct dinosaurs. When industrial sabotage leads to a catastrophic shutdown of the park's power facilities and security precautions, a small group of visitors, including Hammond's grandchildren, struggle to survive and escape the now perilous island.
Soundboard.
I know.
Oh, we got to. There you go.
That's how it's become quite perilous, as we know, with our lurking dinosaurs.
I think that one's my favourite.
Just outside our room here. Let's talk about some more of the stuff behind the scenes in the film. So the budget for the film, which is the all-important, producers raising funds for the film. Its budget was $63 million. And in 1993, Jay, me growing up, I was kind of like a teenager, obviously in the 90s. I'm a bit older than you, as you know.
Dog years.
Thank you. And in 1993, 63 million probably like 130, 140 million dollars today, today's terms. So still quite big.
It's quite a substantial amount of money.
Back then, definitely was. Its release date was June 11, 1993 in North America. And its opening weekend in the USA alone, just the US, it grossed just over $47 million.
Wow.
Which is huge. Like, it's really massive. Yep. That is just huge, right? And it's a summer release. It's summer blockbuster, because obviously summer in the Northern Hemisphere is June, July, August. So massive summer hit. It
must have been intentional for it to drop around.
They do that. They do big summer blockbuster releases, and they still do today, like Marvel films, Star Wars, whatever. They'll still release them in North America, usually in the warmer months when more people are out and about. Makes sense. Its gross in the US and Canada, so all of North America, was just under $407.2 million, which is just colossal. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And its worldwide gross, its global gross, was approximately $915 million, which is just massive off that $63 million budget. So many, many, many times over its budget, its cost it made. It surpassed Spielberg's own E.T., the Extraterrestrial, which was released in 1983, to become the highest grossing film of all time, until the release of James Cameron's Titanic in 1997. When it came sliding through an iceberg in 1997.
Yep.
So pretty good, for almost 5 years, holding the mantle of highest grossing film. And to be fair, Spielberg already had it with E.T. 10 years earlier, and it wasn't surpassed at that point. So he's kind of the king of the box office, really, and still kind of is with Cameron, pretty much.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let's talk about the critical reception. So the critics' response was largely very well received across the board for Jurassic Park. One famous American critic, he's no longer with us, but very prolific film and television critic called Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert.
Rog. He gave the film 3 stars out of 4, which is quite a good score from Rog. He says, the movie delivers all too well on its promise to show us dinosaurs. We see them early and often, and they are indeed a triumph of special effects, artistry, but the movie is lacking other qualities that it needs even more, such as a sense of awe and wonderment and strong human story values. So Roger's a big story guy, so he really loves seeing deep and long story arcs.
I get it.
Character development and all that sort of stuff.
But I mean, I think for something like Jurassic Park, it's survival mode, right? We don't really have time to delve
it's an adventure as well. It's a roller coaster ride. We don't have time to... Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The American Film Institute named Jurassic Park the 35th most thrilling film of all time on June 13, 2001. That comment probably still, holds up today.
Oh, absolutely.
To some extent.
I'd agree.
Even though that's quite some time ago. It's over 20 years ago. Yep. In 2004, Empire magazine, very well known film and
a magazine that celebrates film and judged
Jurassic Park as the 6th most sixth most influential film in the magazine's lifetime. Not sure how long they've been going for, but that's a pretty big claim.
That's good.
To fame as well.
Yeah.
And I love Empire magazine. I'm sure you had a subscription to that. I had a subscription to that.
Yep.
When I was younger, every birthday. The public reception, obviously, we the critics are important, but at the end of the day, the bums on seats and the money really talks. Yeah. Well, the box office figures really speak for themselves. That money, that $915 million, because the film was a T-Rex sized hit, really. Excuse the pun, but it's the public really couldn't get enough of it, and I was one of those people. I probably saw it 4 times in the cinema when it came out. Yeah, I did. It was that good. And so awards, professional awards. So for the Oscars, it won some Best Sound award for that. It got Best Effects, Best Sound Effects, Sound Effects Editing, and Visual Effects as well. So not really going to get acting awards, unfortunately. But maybe the dinosaurs. Or sorry, Sam Neill or Laura Dern. Maybe.
To be honest, if I could give an award to everyone, I would, because everyone deserved an Oscar in that film.
Let's give an overview of the production of the film itself. So before Michael Crichton's novel was published, 4 film studios, probably the big majors as they call them, put in bids for the film rights even before the novel was released. So with the backing of Universal Pictures, Spielberg acquired the rights for $1.5 million. So Universal forked out $1.5 million before the book actually came out in stores and stuff like that. Yeah. So obviously Spielberg being kind of, being able to sense when something is box office gold, has potential to have that, then he's going to buy it up, which he's been known for over the years.
Yep.
So Michael Crichton was hired, the author was hired for an additional $500,000 to adapt the novel for the screen. So he's already earned about, around $2 million. That's insane. At the start, Michael Crichton. Yeah, so sometimes it pays to be a novelist, as we know over the years, when someone writes a successful novel series. Okay, so David Coep, the other screenwriter with Michael Crichton, he wrote the final draft, which actually left out much of the novel's exposition and violence, which was actually more violence in the novels, while making numerous changes to the characters as well, different from the book. So to create the dinosaurs, Spielberg sought the best effects supervisors in Hollywood. So he brought in Stan Winston and his Creature Workshop to create the animatronic dinosaurs in the film. And Stan Winston, I'm not sure if he's with us anymore, but his workshop in his name still goes on, and those technicians that work there are pretty much on the same expertise level as he was. They're just magnificent. To create the dinosaurs, Spielberg, the paleontologist actually, Jack Horner, supervised the designs of the dinosaurs. So to help fulfill Spielberg's desire to portray the dinosaurs as animals rather than monsters, which was important, and I think you see that in the film.
You definitely see that. They did an awesome job.
They look less like Godzilla and more like something you could pat.
More realistic.
It's like a pet you could pet or something like that. Maybe besides the Velociraptors or the T-Rex, but so certain concepts about dinosaurs, like the theory of how they evolved into birds and had very little in common with lizards, were followed. So again, to make them look more like animals than monsters. Industrial Light and Magic, so ILM, are in a lot of films, as we know, over the years. Steven Spielberg's original company that he created when he created Star Wars. So ILM animators Mark DePay and Steve Williams developed a computer-generated walk cycle for the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, and which Spielberg loved. And then when Spielberg and Tippett saw animation of the T-Rex chasing a herd of other dinosaurs, Spielberg said, "You're out of a job." To which Tippett replied, "Don't you mean extinct?" And then Spielberg, as a kind of a nod to that conversation, he actually put that exchange in the script as a conversation between Jeff Goldblum's character Ian Malcolm and Sam Neill's character Alan Grant. And basically it was when they were walking up the stairs or something, and then Goldblum says that same line, "Don't you mean extinct?" To him. ILM's artist was sent on private tours to local animal parks so they could study large animals, rhinos, elephants.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Especially for the film, that'd be great research.
Yeah, alligators, exactly. And giraffes up close so they could mime, and they could mime the movements. And they also actually took mime classes, like acting mime classes, to aid in understanding movement and movement patterns.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. So it's quite involved, and Spielberg's known for getting
a bit like Planet of the Apes, how they have to like study the apes. And,
and
body language.
Yeah, and people that might be in the motion capture suits have to study that. So when they're in those suits with those little balls all over them, they get the movement sort of right,
cool.
sort of thing. Let's talk about something you love, being an actor, casting. So this is going to be interesting. So the part of Alan Grant, which obviously Sam Neill ended up playing, William Hurt was initially offered the role of Alan Grant, but he actually turned it down without even reading the script.
Ouch.
Which is interesting because people don't usually turn down a Spielberg film, just like that without even reading the script. So quite brave of William Hurt to do that in Hollywood, because usually people say if Steven offers you something, you just say yes.
That's right.
You don't need to really read it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Just trust that it's going to be good. Kurt Russell and Richard Dreyfuss were also considered for the role of Alan Grant, but they were deemed too expensive. Cha-ching.
Mr. Moneybags.
So
I could see Kurt doing it.
They were quite famous at that point. Like their trajectory, they were kind of sitting on top. They had a number of great critical acclaimed and nominations and stuff over the years, so they were quite expensive. Harrison Ford and Tim Robbins were also offered the role before Sam Neill was cast 3 or 4 weeks before filming began. So Sam Neill is quoted as saying, "It all happened really quick. I hadn't read the book. I knew nothing about it, hadn't heard anything about it, and in a matter of weeks, I'm working with Steven Spielberg." So that's pretty crazy.
That is just insane.
Considering they got to like 3 or 4 weeks before cameras start rolling. And I guess that's also a testament to Sam Neill's acting ability to only come in at that last minute. And again, it's not last minute, but in film, when you're making a massive film, it kind of is last minute. 3 or 4 weeks, and you're in the lead role.
But I mean, complete professional, right?
Yeah, great actor.
Yeah.
Great actor. The role of Ian Malcolm, which obviously Jeff Goldblum ended up playing. So the film's casting director, Janet Hersherson, felt Jeff Goldblum was right to play Ian Malcolm after reading the novel. Jim Carrey actually also auditioned for the role, which
I could see that as well.
Quite
I could definitely see him doing that character.
Yeah.
Nothing on Jeff though. I do feel like Jeff's untouchable in this.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see
a version.
100%.
Jim Carrey.
Jimmy.
Yeah. So according to Janet Hersherson, the casting director, Carrey was terrific, really terrific too. But she says, I think pretty quickly we all loved the idea of Jeff Goldblum doing the part, which is good. Ellie Sattler, so Laura Dern obviously was cast in the role. She was Spielberg's first choice for the role of Ellie Sattler, but was not the only actress actually offered the part, even though it was Spielberg's choice. So Robin Wright and Juliette Binoche turned it down, and that would have been interesting. Robin Wright, as people know her as Claire Underwood in House of Cards.
Yes.
Great actress. She's been around since the early 80s, pretty much. She started acting at quite a young age. Quite a beautiful woman, obviously. And Juliette Binoche. So, two different actresses there, Robin Wright and Juliette Binoche, would have been interesting, I think. But certainly Laura Dern, I can't now think of anyone else now that she's played the role. And
I could see possibly Helen Hunt
playing
her role.
Yeah, so some other people, you're right. So spot on, Jay. So Stacey Haddock, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Helen Hunt also auditioned.
Oh wow!
For the role.
Yeah, right.
There you go. So you have a good eye, my friend.
Well, she was really big around that time.
She was.
So.
She was in a lot of massive sitcoms and stuff around that time in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s and stuff like that. And let's get on to some other supporting cast members. So Spielberg chose to cast Wayne Knight as Dennis Nedry, or Nedry, after seeing his performance in Basic Instinct with Sharon Stone. Lex Murphy, who's played by Ariana Richards.
Yes.
She said, and quote, she said, "I was called into a casting office and they just wanted me to scream." And then she heard later on that Steven, obviously Spielberg, had watched A Few Girls on Tape that day at his house in his lounge room, which he sometimes did.
As you do.
As you do. And she and Ariana Richards was the only one who ended up waking Spielberg's sleeping wife on the couch. And she came running through the hallway to see if the kids were all right. So that's how Spielberg knew that that was his Lex Murphy for the film. Yeah. Pretty crazy. And Christina Ricci, or Ricky, also auditioned for that role as well, but obviously didn't get it. Joseph Mazzello had screen tested for a role in Hook, which was obviously also had Spielberg involved, but was deemed too young at the time.
He's another one of those actors too that was like really big back then as well, especially in like the child movies.
Yeah, through the mid to late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. He was deemed too young, but Spielberg promised him, and being a lovely guy he is, he always keeps his word, promised her that we'd work together on a future film, and there he was in Jurassic Park. So, Spielberg's promise came true. The role of John Hammond, of course, by the lovable Richard Attenborough, brother of David Attenborough, obviously, nature documentary legend. Richard Attenborough was cast as John Hammond, the kind of eccentric billionaire owner of the company within the world of Jurassic Park.
He would have been wrapped with the role, I reckon.
Yeah, but initially he was actually hesitant to join the project.
Yeah, right.
Which marked his first acting role in 14 years, which is quite a long time between.
Well, he did a great job.
Yeah. He eventually signed on to play the role at the insistence of Spielberg, who told him, "I just can't see anyone else playing it but you." And if Spielberg says that to you, he knows. Trust that he knows. But yeah, and he was right, because he did a wonderful job. That's on the casting. The production of the film, the actual production and shooting. So production and filming took place in California and Hawaii from August to November 1992. Jurassic Park found most of its locations on, again, excuse my pronunciation of these, but on Kauai, the smallest and most beautiful of the 4 major Hawaiian islands. Despite the best efforts of Hurricane Iniki, which flattened the sets when it actually motored through there at the time, had a hurricane go through there. And actually a little bit of trivia, actually, while I'm here, is when that hurricane actually went through during filming, some of the scenes of like storm and stuff like that is the actual hurricane they took. Camera guys, Spielberg got the camera guys out there, and they actually took some real footage of the hurricane on the island while they were filming. And so it got some realist cutaways of storm and
that's unreal
winds and stuff like that. So why not while it's there?
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great. And then apart from the interiors and many of the night scenes, which were filmed on sound stages at Universal Studios, of course, in North Hollywood, the only mainland USA location is the dig site, where the paleontologists Alan Grant, Sam Neill, and Ellie Sattler, Laura Dern, are tempted with the promise of generous funding to visit the proposed park of John Hammond, obviously played by Richard Attenborough. Post-production. So post-production lasted until May 1993, supervised by Spielberg, actually in Poland, because at the time he was actually filming Schindler's List, which is another film which brought him another swag
at the same time.
Oscars. Yes, at the same time. So Spielberg and a lot of his peers of that generation had been known to be real machines of filmmakers and have epic.
Casually start 2 projects.
Have one blockbuster and then just have another sort of really hard hitting dramatic film going at the same time.
Good grief.
Have one finish and editing and one that you're going to set during the day.
He doesn't stop that, man, doesn't he?
And no, literally does not. In Poland, post-production, the dinosaurs were created with groundbreaking computer generated imagery.
Literally groundbreaking.
Yeah, yeah, ground slamming, groundbreaking. By Industrial Light and Magic, of course, as mentioned before, George Lucas's company that he started, and with life-size animatronic dinosaurs by Stan Winston's team, to showcase the film's sound design, which included a mixture of various animal noises for the dinosaur sounds. Spielberg invested in the creation of DTS, a company which specialized in digital surround sound formats. So very handy, of course, when you're in a cinema and you're listening as an audience member and you're hearing the left channel, the middle channel, and the right channel speakers all kind of go around you and that sort of thing. That was that technology that he helped pioneer, basically.
Wow, that's sick.
So a legend. The film was backed by an extensive, massive $65 million marketing and PR campaign, which included licensing deals with over 100 companies. So those over 100 licensing deals, they could have been everything from products, merchandising, TV commercials, brand sponsor, just a whole bunch of stuff, which, to be fair, would have made that marketing budget back again because they would have been able to charge so much for that because of how big the film became.
Right.
All right. That's all the sort of technical background of the staff, casting, etc. out of the way. Let's. Oh, jeez. All right, settle down a bit. That's better. That's it. So, Jay, what are your first thoughts about the film? What are your own experiences about the film over the years? You know, obviously, the film came out before you were born. 4 years earlier, obviously. Yeah. What are your thoughts about the film?
Oh God, we're gonna have to go right back to the start because I remember Jurassic Park. I can even remember the first day I watched it, like vividly, and I was very young. And dinosaurs were pretty big growing up, especially as a child.
Yeah.
But I used to grow up with this little kid in the street, and he was obsessed with dinosaurs. Had all the dinosaur toys, wallpaper, you name it. All the movies, and he used to watch it religiously. And the very first day that I'd seen it, I hadn't seen anything like that on film before. In terms of the animatronics,
yes,
the puppeteering work was just absolutely out of this world.
And the CGI, of course.
And the CGI, very minimal CGI, I have to say.
Well, the film actually has it's probably equal. So it's just to be correct. It's actually equal, probably half CGI and half animatronics.
I think they only did CGI for certain movements.
Yes, that they couldn't
and
get.
Scenes. Yeah. But I mean, as a movie, as a whole movie, like it was just great. Like, it had these innocent little child stars just starting out, kicking off their career with a movie like that was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell if it was thrilling or scary when I was watching it as a kid back then, because it was quite confronting, I must say.
Yeah.
In the best possible way.
Yeah.
But, oh my God. It's just one of those films that just lives on, you know what I mean? Like, I have seen, I'm pretty sure I'm up to date with all of them. I have seen all of them that's come after the original. And they're just as good, but obviously nothing beats the original.
Yeah, I think so. I think, this film really holds up. To some people, it probably is still the best one.
Well, it's still relevant even today. I mean, it's got 6 films under its belt.
It's got more films, obviously, as technology gets on as well. Those films after Jurassic Park obviously have better CGI and
it's more CGI, really.
More CGI and better, and better CGI.
Yeah.
Let's be, frank about it. The CGI obviously improves as the years go by and technology improves.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
Let me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
Would you like to see a Jurassic Park movie, a new addition to the franchise, but with minimal CGI and more puppeteering and animatronics?
Well, animatronics side, can be difficult because they are so big
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not saying like as a, production designer or anything like that. I'm saying like as the viewer.
oh, as a viewer.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, done accurately enough, and obviously even materials to build animatronics has improved. Even like along the same lines as CGI has improved, right?
Yeah.
Materials to make to coat a robotic structure has improved since then vastly, right?
Absolutely.
The rubber, the latex, the properties of it, and that sort of thing have really improved. Even the little motors that control eye movement and stuff like that, right, of the animatronics have improved. So I welcome that. Like I welcome that, and and maybe using a mixture of that and green screen and stuff like that.
I think in a world full of CGI, it's definitely refreshing and definitely necessary, I'd say. It's something that we don't see enough of in film, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's just those key moments for me that really make a film and show its authenticity.
Yeah, and having something that's real is probably the biggest point of all. Having something that's real for an actor to react to when they're filming, when they're actually in production, and they're there on set, you would know, because how are you going to react to a mop? Like if someone says, "Okay, this mop is like a, it's a T-Rex and it's about to swallow you whole," but it's like it's just a mop that looks wet with its things hanging
Use
down.
your imagination.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's better to react to some huge animatronic thing that's got a big gaping mouth with sharp teeth. So yeah, definitely. So my first thoughts about the film, I guess, before I get into some trivia and stuff as well. So I saw the film obviously when it first came out. It was released actually in Australia on 2nd of September 1993 in Australia. So I saw it at my local cinema, and I can tell you Jurassic Park when it came out was more like an event than a film. Like it was a real phenomenon because it had just done this massive run in North America and Europe and stuff, and then it's finally in Australia, a few months later, and it was a real event. Cinemas were packed out for weeks after its release. The cinema I went to had to put 2 temporary rows in front of the front row of the cinema, which is crazy.
I don't think we do that anymore.
No, because your neck was like, like straight up, and it already is in the first row, but to have another 2 rows.
That's just a testament to the film, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the cinemas people were, I think, getting a bit, had a bit of anxiety about not seeing the film, so they tried to do their best to fit even more people in the cinema, which is crazy. At the time, it was in Australia, there was a chain called Village Cinemas at the time, and that's what it was. I went to a Village Cinema in my local area to see it. I probably saw it about 3 times between there and another cinema in my local area. And I just remember it being this huge thing, like this huge spectacle, these giant creatures on the screen. It was really the first time I've really seen, I'm just trying to think of other films, but not to an accurate scale where they were really, real life-like, pretty much at that time. And in 1993, they really were, even though now you're looking back at the CG and you're like, there's a bit here and there, that's a bit questionable. But back then it was like, wow, like just watching like Star Wars for the first time, sort of like that, just epic and massive adventure, which has got lots of momentum, from the start sort of thing, and just keeps you going. And as a kid, as a teenager, it really had all that.
And I don't even think you have to be a fan of dinosaurs to love this movie too.
Not at all. It's more about the roller coaster ride, the chaos that ensues, the struggles the characters go through with each other. They almost die a number of times. Yeah, pure survival. So I love that sort of adventure of the film. And over the years since then, obviously, it's why we're doing this pod right now. We love this film, and it really stands up. Some interesting internet research, Jay. Some trivia about the film. So, Jurassic Park's pioneering use of computer-generated imagery is considered to have paved the way for special effects practices in modern cinema. So in 2018, it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as, and I quote, they say it's culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And then the film obviously spawned a multimedia franchise that includes 5 sequels, 2 television series, video games, theme park attractions, comic books, and various multitudes of products and merchandise.
So there's 5 films?
Well, this research, this was from, thank you to Wikipedia for this. At the moment, I'm not sure on the count of films, but obviously there's another one that's probably in production.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
Now.
True. Yeah.
So that's happening now, as kind of as we speak. Some interesting facts about dinosaurs and how fast can dinosaurs actually run. So
I love this part.
Obviously, we see a lot of humans running away from dinosaurs and dinosaurs chasing humans, and
we've also got some beautiful moments between the dinosaurs. They're not all trying to kill them in the movie.
No, they're not all carnivores.
Yeah.
As we know, there are some gentle herbivores and plant eaters, obviously, which are quite cute. So the T-Rex was actually a slow runner.
Really?
Even though it's the most savage of them all.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Because of the size.
Right.
The sheer size of T-Rex, unfortunately, achieving perhaps only about 16 kilometers per hour at top speed, which is 10 miles per hour for those in the Northern Hemisphere. So not very fast for old T-Rex. An average human with adequate athletic ability, not Usain Bolt or anyone like that.
So my nan.
Yeah, potentially. Your nan could outrun a T-Rex. There you go.
Like without her walker, or
she might be able to fend it off with the walker, and a velociraptor, obviously a little more smaller, a bit more agile. Velociraptor could get quite fast, actually, between 40 and 65 kilometers per hour. So certainly, like a roadrunner sort of thing. Or 25 to 40 miles per hour for those doing miles per hour. But I wanted to look up the fastest dinosaur, according to scientists and paleontologists, etc. Was called the Nanotyrannus.
Nanotyrannus.
Yes, which reached a top speed of around 80 kilometers per hour, which is very fast. 50 miles per hour, which is very fast.
Damn.
And the Nanotyrannus lived actually during the same time period as T-Rex.
They were neighbours.
Yeah. It probably specialised in hunting smaller and faster prey that the T-Rex couldn't catch. So whatever the T-Rex couldn't catch was leftover food for the Nanotyrannus. And just to be a little bit more information on the difference between the speeds of the different dinosaurs. So there's a good reason why all dinosaurs that were the fastest were bipedal, which means had 2 legs, ran on 2 legs. So the majority of quadrupeds, obviously animals that walk on 4 legs, in prehistoric times were cold-blooded herbivores. The species velocity is determined by anatomy and blood flow mechanisms, obviously to muscles and tendons and all that. So due to their low metabolic energy, cold-blooded creatures move slower. So a theropod, which is a 2-legged meat-eating dinosaur, is warm-blooded and therefore has a metabolism that can sustain higher running speeds, like the Velociraptor, like the Nanotyrannus.
Isn't it fascinating how they just find out all this information?
Like, even though they've been gone for millions of years.
Literally,
that we know this and more.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd love a dinosaur fossil, just one bit of, history.
Really?
Yeah.
What would it be?
I'd have to go with the claw.
Like a T-Rex?
A claw or a tooth?
Like a T-Rex claw or a Velociraptor or something like that?
Don't make me choose. Maybe T-Rex.
I'd love a pterodactyl.
That'd be cool.
The big flying bird sort of.
Oh, like the skeleton of it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Huge.
That'd be probably bigger than this room.
Well, close, wouldn't be far off. So I wanted to talk about, obviously in the film, in Jurassic Park, there's the whole thing about cloning dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And, I'll just talk about this article here that I got for some information from a website called Science World.
Okay.
So a bit of a geeky science website.
You are a bit of a nerd.
Yes, I am. So this article was published on Monday, June 6, 2022 by Adesua Okoyemon. Okoyemon. And it's a great name. I hope I got the pronunciation right.
Say it again.
Adesua
Adesua
Okoyemon.
Okoyemon.
Yeah.
Nice.
It must be. I think it sounds like Japanese or something.
It sounds like a warrior name.
It does.
Yeah.
Again, not sure. Apologise. I'm not sure of the nationality.
We love you. It's all
yes,
good.
definitely. So we're talking about whether the science and tech hold up, and so we're basically saying this article says the film features an animated character. So in the film, when you're watching it, that character, Mr. DNA, that comes on to explain how that little animation thing in the film. And it looks like a relative of the clippy Microsoft assistant, like on the computer. You know, when you used to have Microsoft Office, it looks like the paperclip thing. So it could be related to that. Who tells us how Jurassic Park came to be?
Yeah.
All while simplifying the complex topic of molecular cloning in a real southern twang.
Is this when they're seated in the
theater,
the theater room?
The theater.
Yeah. The introduction video.
Yeah, and so as Mr. DNA narrates, scientists clone dinosaurs by extracting prehistoric blood from the mosquitoes fossilized in an amber thing. That's my southern accent. That's pretty bad, isn't it? That's pretty bad.
No, that's good.
So yeah, by extracting prehistoric blood from mosquitoes fossilized in amber. So these mosquitoes land on trees and get stuck in tree sap, which hardened over the years, right? And then because the recovered DNA was incomplete in Jurassic Park, so a whole genome is needed to clone an animal, right? They complete the set of DNA through a living relative of that DNA strand, which is a frog. So once armed with a complete genetic code, they implant the reconstructed DNA into an ostrich egg and watch in awe as their dinosaurs come to life in the film.
Right.
So that's what happens in the film.
Yeah.
So, but...
Are we uncovering whether or not that using this method today would be... Okay.
So we have an expert now.
Yeah.
So according to Dr. Corey Nislow...
It is a pretty good, smart concept, though, when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Especially like the...
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's one of those things that you think, this could be plausible.
Yeah.
But you could buy it.
Like you don't really question it.
Yeah.
You know?
And this was Michael Crichton, obviously. It's based on the author. So the author came up with this.
Yeah.
But according to a professor, Dr. Corey Nislow, professor at the University of British Columbia, it's a very reputable institution, DNA can be fragile, obviously, though a great option for preservation, Dr. Nislow says, is it decays too quickly to survive for millions of years, even when trapped in amber, like it is in the film. So up until recently...
How long does amber fossilize, though?
Not sure, but but there's a quote here that says, up until recently, the oldest DNA that was successfully retrieved was about 500,000 years old.
Oh, wow.
But the dinosaurs, we're talking over 60-something million years. He says that record has been broken and now stands at 1.2 million years. But still, when you're talking about dinosaurs, you're talking about more than 60 million years.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And it goes on to say, while Jurassic Park depicts a scientist drilling a hole through amber and inserting a long needly syringe to suck out the contents of a fossilized mosquito, DNA extraction requires much, much more precision than what you see there in that scene.
Yeah, of course.
That's because airborne viruses that are full of DNA might destroy the dinosaur sample before the extraction even happens, right? And then Dr. Nislow says, I think that today the conservation is less about can it be done, he says. Instead, we're asking, is this the best place to spend limited scientific resources, and have we fully explored the consequences? And then he goes on to say, and I think that goes right to the heart of the movie, right? Where he says, he echoes Dr. Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I agree.
So that's what they're saying. Just because you potentially can do that with the DNA, doesn't mean you should.
Necessarily should.
Yeah. So Jay, after all that nerdy and tech stuff out of the way, I think that's interesting actually to hear from an expert on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. You did that.
Let's have a general chat before we get into our lovely categories that we have. Let's just have a general chit chat about the characters at sort of a high level.
Okay.
Who's in it? What do we like about them, etc. So, what's your thoughts on Sam Neill, playing Dr. Alan Grant? Obviously,
I mean, it's Sam Neill, for God's sake. Like, I can't fault that man. He's up there with the big ones for me.
He's great, isn't he?
He is amazing at everything he does. He's a very well trained actor.
Very well.
Even his voice, like he could just as easily do animation with a voice like his.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sam Neill is a fine actor. Obviously, everyone around the world who's seen a number of films from, different directors over the years.
An Australian, isn't he?
Well, no, he's actually born in New Zealand.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. His accent is you can't. I guess sometimes you can tell he's a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand, but
Yeah.
his accent sort of goes in and out sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes if he wants to sound Australian, he can just turn it on and
Yeah.
sound purely Aussie. But certainly he's great with accents. I'm just trying to get some information.
He's taken a lot of projects on board here lately.
In Australia.
Yeah, he's in. What's that TV series?
He's in a jury series called The
That's
12.
the one.
Which
Yes.
is set in a courtroom.
Yes.
Courtroom drama.
Great show, guys.
Yeah.
I would recommend going and watch that.
Yeah.
Season 2, I believe, is out now.
Yeah, on your streaming platform, whatever that is in wherever you're listening to us from.
Yeah, that's a Foxtel production.
In Australia, it's Foxtel. So The 12, certainly a really great series.
Definitely.
He's done a lot of stuff over the years. He was in Thor: Love and Thunder.
He sure was.
He was acting as an actor for Odin.
Odin.
In
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
He's obviously in Jurassic World Dominion,
Mm-hmm.
of course, 2022. He's in a number of just lots and lots of films over the years where his voice has actually been used, Jay, just so you know, in a number of animations as well.
Yep.
Over the years. And he's had a very long and illustrious career, as we know.
Yeah.
He's a very beloved.
He's a complete professional.
Very
What he
beloved
does.
actor.
Yeah.
And Laura Dern, so she obviously plays Ellie Sattler. She's just a ray of sunshine, I think, in this.
Yeah.
She's always had that really lovely air about her.
Yeah.
She
does, doesn't she? She
really
gives off really nice energy.
She does, even though she's a really accomplished, hard-hitting, dramatic actor.
Yeah.
She can really be quite dramatic and emotional, or very light-hearted, obviously, in a lot of the roles that she's played over the years.
And what has she been in?
Let me just have a quick look.
I do remember her from, is it Big Little Lies?
So, yes, she is in Big Little Lies, actually. That was recent. That was a really great series.
That was a great
with
series.
Our very own Nicole Kidman.
yes.
Yes. Our queen of acting in Australia, pretty much. Absolute legend, Nicole Kidman.
Hey, Nicole, if you're listening to this.
And obviously Reese Witherspoon.
Yes, Reese with her spoon.
Yes. and again, in Big Little Lies, a great supporting cast around those leading ladies.
Yeah, another phenomenal TV show that we'll have to delve into in the future.
Yeah. Laura Dern was actually also in The White Lotus.
Oh, she was too.
In 2022, where they went to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
So another great role for her. She's in Jurassic World Dominion, obviously with Sam Neill. She's lent her voice to a number of animation shows over the years. She's in a show called Trial by Fire, a great film.
Okay.
And she's also in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, as one of the vice admirals in that.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it
She's
now.
in that film. So she's in the Star Wars universe as well. So, yeah, great actress. Been around for a long time, many decades, 3 or 4 or so decades. And she looks like she's one of those actresses that looks like she doesn't age.
Yeah, she's quite a beautiful lady,
quite
isn't she?
timeless.
Yeah.
The next one is obviously, the main one is Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. And obviously we know Jeff Goldblum, again, for many decades. He's been around for many, many years, since, late 70s, early 80s.
He's just got so much riz, especially in this.
So much what?
Riz. That's what the youngsters are calling it
Oh.
these days. Meaning myself.
Oh, nice. So what is Riz? then?
Riz means like swagger.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's got
that.
Riz.
I like swagger too.
Yeah.
I like swagger. Riz. Okay.
He just oozes it in this
Yeah.
though, with his character, like rock star-ish
Oh,
sort of vibe.
yeah.
Yeah.
People will know Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum was in a very iconic film called The Fly from 1986. Plays the lead character in The Fly.
Does that have Gina Davies? Is it?
Let me have a quick look
Yeah, I'm
for
pretty
those
sure
of you, just so we don't get
Gina
too far.
Davis.
It does.
was in
Very
it,
good,
yeah.
Jay. Very good.
You're welcome.
Very good. Obviously, Jeff Goldblum was also in the Grand Budapest Hotel
Yes.
as well. Very iconic film with brilliant production design. Mouth-watering production design.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I won't get too excited.
Yep.
He was obviously in Independence Day. in
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
1996. The massive
Another blockbuster.
Roland Emmerich directed film, Independence Day, with Bill Pullman as well.
I reckon some of the people that were involved in Jurassic Park were involved in that production as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You would have definite
100%.
crossover.
Yeah.
Some of these crews and professionals and special effects artists, they work across all these films, like Industrial Light and Magic.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure has something to do with Independence Day
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, Jeff Goldblum, before we get too much off topic, is a legend, obviously actor, has been in many films over the years.
He's a cheeky man too.
And a cheeky guy,
Yeah.
but apparently a real lovely human being.
Yeah, he is.
To those that have met him, which I would love to one day. And let's get on to the final one that we'll talk about now in terms of characters. Obviously, there's lots of in there. Richard Attenborough playing John Hammond, the kind of eccentric, billionaire,
So fitting.
billionaire slash
Yeah.
biologist slash scientist, I guess.
Down to earth,
Yeah.
lives and breathes animals. and
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
wants to bring back dinosaurs to show
Yeah.
mankind what they were really like.
He means well.
He does mean well,
Yeah.
even though chaos ensues, but he does have good intentions. And then I guess the other ones to mention, actually, before we get into it, is Ariana Richards and Joseph Mazzello, who play Lex and Tim, respectively, the young kids.
What a great role
in the film.
for a child in that time.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, when you really think about it, I
Yeah.
mean, that would have been the highlight of their career, I reckon.
Up until that point,
Yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely.
Um,
And an amazing job
yeah.
also.
Yeah.
They put on a performance that was really authentic, I felt. Very honest.
Yes.
I mean, you saw them in terror a lot.
Yeah.
All these encounters they had with these dinosaurs,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been easy to do,
No. Not at all.
especially as young as they were.
And Spielberg's known for being a really great director of children,
Right.
of actors that are really young.
Not
he's
to
done
mention a few. Drew Barrymore.
Correct. Drew Barrymore, Henry Thomas.
Thomas, yes.
In E.T., the extraterrestrial, as we know. Certainly the little girl in Schindler's List as
Yeah.
well. He's just been known over the years in many films of his that have kids in them. He just gets the best out of them.
He really does.
What's that? Okay. All right, I think we need to get into the Velociraptors have escaped their enclosure.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, I know. We have to. I think we have to get on with the categories. So why don't we get on with the categories now, Jay?
Ooh.
All right. So let's talk about Jay first of all. I'll let you have a chat for a second. Standout Performances Award.
Okay.
Who gets, our, we know Joan Crawford was a big actress and she was a standout actor,
Yeah.
No
more wire hangers!
All right, thank you, Joan. Very nice of you to pop in.
So you want me to tell you who I thought?
Well, the best performances of your standout performances in the film.
Well, as I said, everyone was very vital to that film. Everyone did a really good job with the roles that they'd been given. But for me, it'd have to go with the young actress Ariana Richards. I think she did an incredible job. She was very expressive. In terms of performance,
She played Lex Murphy.
she played Lex Murphy,
Yeah.
which was the little girl.
Yeah.
I could not fault her performance. She did a really amazing job,
Mm.
and it makes me love her more now that you said that. You know what the audition process was like, how she had to scream.
I know.
But I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to for something like Jurassic Park, you have to bring your A game,
Yeah, definitely.
and I think she just absolutely nailed it out of the park,
I mean-
out of Jurassic Park.
Oh yes, out of the Jurassic period.
Oh,
There you go.
that's been a bit drastic.
Oh God. Sorry guys, we'll stop there.
All right, I'm sorry.
For me, standout performances. I mean, you know what I like?
What?
Not that it's a standout performance, but I love Samuel L. Jackson's.
Oh, he's good in everything he
this
does,
film.
though.
In this film, like yes, I can mention out obviously Sam Neill, and Laura
Yeah.
Dern, and Richard Attenborough,
Yeah.
and Jeff Goldblum, but. Like I love Samuel L. Jackson's like supporting part in this, playing that
Me
kind
too.
of techie nerd
Yeah.
on the computer, you know, and from Jackson, really some really good on-screen smoking from him, like with the
Do you
cigarette.
know what? I reckon that he had in the contract that if he was to do Jurassic Park, it'd be in the contract that he smokes his own cigarettes. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he did that actually back when he was a bit younger.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much today, but
Yeah.
looking after their health. But I think they're called Honey Rose.
Honey Rose, yeah.
A brand that makes the fake cigarettes for film
They are.
and television.
Yep.
Over the years.
And they taste awful.
Well,
I think
it
I'd rather
depends.
an actual cigarette.
Yeah, it
than,
depends.
Yeah.
I've actually had the great fortune of having some Honey Rose
Yeah.
cigarettes
So have I.
in my time.
Yeah.
The menthol and the normal flavored ones. But yeah, they're not the best.
No.
So I like Samuel L. Jackson's performance in that role. I just bought it.
Yeah.
He was a techie guy. And let's talk about recasting Couch.
That's interesting.
Is there anyone that in any of the roles that you would like to see a different version of the roles in?
Okay, so
or would you leave it like?
So if they were to do like a reboot or of some sort,
well, not necessarily a reboot, but in
Yeah.
this film, in the premise of this film,
to recast anyone?
yeah,
Absolutely not.
no,
No.
okay, yeah. Look, knowing that Laura Dern also had, Robin Wright and Helen Hunt as two standouts, I don't know. Like I do love Laura Dern, but I could imagine a version of Helen Hunt. I think if I was to really choose.
I could too.
Just because they look so similar in a way.
I often get them confused. I don't know why.
They're in a similar mold.
Yeah.
Not identical, of course. They look different side by side, but
I wonder if there's a picture of them together.
they would be at some
I'd
point.
love to compare. Yeah.
Yeah, but that would probably be it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah, that's valid.
Is great.
Yep. I agree.
So best use of branding. So food, drinks, vehicles, whatever.
Okay.
It is.
So for my one, it's a bit cliche, but I'm gonna say the famous Jurassic Park logo. I think the way they promoted that label itself. I mean, it's a kick-ass label for a groundbreaking franchise. I think they promoted it very well in terms of using it on hard hats, the vehicles used,
Yes.
the attractions, the signs.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give it that one.
I love that.
And then the Jeeps,
Oh, the Wranglers. Yes.
the Wranglers.
Yeah.
But that's all that stuck out for me.
Yeah, I love.
Oh, and then there was sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
There was the can that was used to disguise.
The shaving foam can. Was it
Yeah.
shaving foam can?
I think so.
It's the canister that they jigged the shaving canister.
Was it cream?
To shaving cream, I think it was.
Yeah. Okay.
In the bottom of it, unscrewed the DNA.
Yep.
When he stole the DNA samples.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
For me, best use of branding is definitely Jeep.
Yeah.
And Ford as well. So Jeep did the Wranglers, which were the cars that they just drove around the park and like got away from the dinosaurs and all that sort of stuff. And Ford had their Ford Explorers, which were the actual attraction ride vehicles, which were on that track that it had to follow sort of around the attractions.
Right.
They had no driver. They looked like the driverless cars, just that you sat in. They had all the windows around, so you could just look into the enclosures and be a bit safe in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So between Jeep and Ford, you know, they really got, I guess, their bang for their buck being on this one. I wonder if the sales actually for Ford Explorers and Jeeps went up.
Oh,
Potentially, I didn't look into that, but
surely.
that would be interesting after
Yeah.
after the film's release. And I love how people put the graphics of Jurassic Park on some Jeeps, which I've
Yeah, I
seen
love that. I've seen that a couple of times too.
over the years.
Yeah.
I love that. Jay, have you got any famous quotes or lines? Famous lines?
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Well, I've got two, but I'll give you the first one. Hold on to your butts.
I love that. Samuel L. Jackson's line.
Samuel Jackson.
Yes.
And then
Love
I've
that.
got my second one. Life will not be continued. Oh, contained, sorry. Life will not be contained. Life breaks free. Life finds a way. And that's by Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Jeff Goldblum's character.
Yes.
They're great lines.
Yeah, beautiful one.
I do like hold on to your butts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
So anything that annoys you in the film? Anything to pick at, like plot or characters or anything that annoys you
Look,
in the
there's
film?
just one tiny little problem.
What's that?
And it's with... You can guess it.
Um,
I've got beef.
Jay has some beef. Yes, we have discussed this a bit. Jay doesn't like the fact that John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough, brings his grandkids to help test
As
the
guinea
ride,
pigs
test the ride
for the
pretty much.
amusement park, really.
theme park ride, basically.
Yeah. And then it obviously goes pear-shaped and they end up being harassed by dinosaurs, almost killed. And then there's a scene of him stuffing his face with ice cream.
Oh yes.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Look, yeah. I mean, it's not the best look having your.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have Jurassic Park, would we?
Well, that's right. We wouldn't have the chaos and the adventure and all that sort of stuff.
How about you?
Nitpicks. Let me think. Probably not really.
Yeah.
Like everything holds up considering the time it was made.
Yeah.
And the technology with CG and the design and all that sort of. That's because I'm obviously a design nerd. I think it holds up still.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining today. All the action sequences and all that sort of stuff. It all really holds up for me. So
Yeah.
nothing to really pick at for me for this one. Prequel, sequel, reboot, series, or is it untouchable? For me,
Yep.
I think it's almost untouchable. You might want to do a spin-off series.
Mhm.
It would be expensive, but you could chronicle the adventures of. You could do different characters. So you could do like Ellie Sattler,
Yep.
or you could even do you could actually do John Hammond
Mhm.
in the lead up to creating Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Originally, so
Yep.
when he was a bit younger.
I'd watch that.
And he was a bit younger. Maybe instead of his 60s or 70s of what he's portrayed in the film, maybe he's in his 40s or 50s, or 50s and 60s, and it's chronicling the journey that he's taken. He's getting his investors, getting the technology happening,
The relationship
Finding-
that he has
finding-
with the dinosaurs.
finding the mosquito in the amber.
Yeah.
And then doing the DNA stuff, and then maybe the series ends on the hatching of the first dinosaur or something like that, and then it goes into Jurassic Park, something like that. They could do a spin-off series like that. I think.
I agree.
Might be good. Just won an Oscar. Who got it in the film? That could be anything. That can be the director. That can be special effects.
Oh, this is really hard, Matt.
That can be music. Can be anything. Like
I'd have to. Oh God, can I give? Is it just one?
you can give more than one, I guess.
Okay, so I'm going to give two.
Yeah.
It has to go one to Steven Spielberg.
For directing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And one for special effects.
Special effects.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, you can't go past those. The CGI.
Yes.
On this. Really great CGI. For me, listen, I think maybe music.
That's
such a great score, John Williams. I'd also say probably sound design as well, which it actually did get.
Oh,
Actually,
okay. Yep.
It actually did get, like you said, special effects. It actually won for special effects and
Yeah.
or visual effects, and it did get a sound design
I'd be very shocked if
award.
it didn't. Especially,
so yeah, music, the score, and that for me. You could say screenplay, but it's based on a Crichton novel anyway. It's got enough claim to fame as it is. Multi-best-selling sort of series. Is there a better title for the film
No.
than Jurassic Park after the novel?
I don't think so, no.
I think I agree.
Yeah,
actually.
Jurassic Park
it's based on the novel, so...
Yeah. It comes with everything. Like, when you say Jurassic Park, I think of the logo straight away, and then after that, I think of everything it comes with, like the sequels, the original. I think it's a great title. It's, untouchable.
And it probably goes for the other titles of the books as well, for the other films
Yeah.
as well. They're pretty much, for the most part, named on the books.
Yep.
I guess after the film finishes, obviously they fly off in the helicopter and they get away from the island, which is great. So any ideas of what happened after the end of the film? Like, they went in the helicopter.
They consider, or they have children of their own.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because remember they were like jostling the idea to have children, and he wasn't really for it.
Yeah.
And she was kind of pushing for,
So,
and then the kids come along, and they share beautiful moments in the film together.
That's right.
So I think they go off into the sunset and have children of their own.
I like that.
Start a family.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's up to us, folks. We can decide whatever happens at the end in this pod.
Yeah. I think the kids are definitely in therapy.
Definitely. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing that head of the T-Rex in the corner of the room each night when you go to sleep. Oh no, it's just a tree outside.
Yeah.
So who won the movie? For me.
Do you want to say it together? Because I think I know what you're going to say.
All right. Ready?
1, 2, 3. The dinosaurs.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yes.
Has to go the dinosaurs.
Has to go the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Everything else comes.
Yes.
Yeah. See, even he agrees.
Oh.
And
That might be my stomach rumbling.
Okay.
Oh. Sorry, guys. So I guess we're sort of coming towards the end of this episode. And I guess some closing thoughts from us. To me, Jurassic Park, and it's obviously follow-on films, but especially this one, as a potential standalone, because you can watch it as a standalone film because they get in the helicopter at the end and they go away, they get off the island and that sort of thing. So there is some sort of temporary resolution at the end.
Yeah.
So it really does stand up on its own. It is a film that you can watch and not have to watch the rest of them, like necessarily straight after, to get that kind of satisfaction of that film or that franchise. It's certainly, it's an adventure, timeless adventure. I mean, it's, it was 65 million years in the making, as they say. And to me, it will always be one of those classics and really kind of the first major blockbuster that I kind of witnessed in my younger years as a young man, I guess.
Amazing piece of film.
Yeah.
Really is.
Anything from you on last thoughts?
Look, I've seen dinosaur movies prior to Jurassic Park, but none of them have come close to achieving what they achieved in this film in terms of the animatronics and puppeteering work. Yeah. That I take away from the film. That's my favourite part of the film, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of everyone when I say that. It's ageless. It really is. Yeah. And as I said, I don't think you have to be a fan of dinosaurs, so to say, to love this film. Yeah. Like, it's Steven Spielberg.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks. So I guess it might be pertinent for us to mention the information we got in this episode, the sources of information. So obviously a decent amount of information from IMDb. Obviously the bulk of the information came from Wikipedia. And we got some really crucial scientific information from Science World, that article that I read from before. What's on next episode?
So next episode, we have a really special guest, a dear friend of ours, Ronnie S. Ruskawa.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So
Can't wait for Ronnie.
We'll be bringing him on the pod to talk about well, to ask him questions about himself and his career, but to also ask about his film that dropped last year,
2023. Yeah.
Streets of Colour.
Great film, very gritty, urban street
Yes.
sort of drama,
Yes.
hard-hitting drama, really sort of emotional, dramatic acting in that film.
It's a really amazing film, guys, and I definitely recommend anyone watching it. It's out now on, I think it's
various
on,
platforms. It's on Foxtel in Australia. It's on Apple. It's on Amazon. It's on Google Film and Television. It's on YouTube.
Go watch it, guys. It's definitely worth
it's
the
on
watch.
a number of platforms, and it was nominated for some very big awards in Australia. It was nominated for the 2024 ACTA Film Awards, basically for Best Independent Feature Production for 2023.
Yeah.
And that's basically the Australian version of the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So quite important. And the Screen Producers Australia Awards, or SPA, for Best Feature Production of 2023, indie or otherwise. So really great.
And you worked on that production too, didn't
I
you?
did a little bit of work on that film. Yes, I did. But it'll be great to catch up with Ronnie. He's a really lovely guy.
I can't wait for that.
Very
episode.
well respected filmmaker.
Shout out to you, Ron.
Yeah, we can't wait to see you, Ron.
Yeah.
And for this episode, I think, thanks guys for joining us.
Nature calls.
Yeah. I think more ways than one.
Yeah.
We might have to start running.
Yep.
We've got some guys that are coming for us.
All right, let's get out of here.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you next time on Up on Screen. Thanks.
See you guys.